Yo, what's up? We are now sitting in the Mercedes EQE SUV 43 AMG 4MATIC. Freaking long name, man. But yeah, so right now I'm actually on the 1,000 kilometer challenge and I want to have a 4K podcast. Yeah, we haven't had, well actually we had one, but it was not super interesting. But today I want to talk about other technologies than battery tech and why they are inferior. Yeah, well, I need to widen out my vocabulary and use words I normally don't use. Like I normally just stick with sheet and hammer it and stuff like that. You know, I talk like a teenager. Yeah, sorry for that. But yeah, so you know, today I want to talk about charging roads. I actually don't know what they are really called, but you know what you know, like there was a stretch north of Stockholm around where is it? Was it again? Was it? It was called Sandviken. It's a short test stretch, supposedly only 2 kilometers, and also south of Frankfurt. There's also a test stretch there. I think that was longer, around 20 kilometers long. But supposedly, the one in Germany is supposedly, according to some people in live stream, they claim that each kilometer costs 2.8 million euros. I'm like, damn! It's like 1 kilometer of that charging road costs as much as a hydrogen station. Wait, is that correct? No, wait. No, that can't be right. But it means that it is super expensive. You could have made a big ass supercharger. I mean, you could have made multiple supercharger sites for the same money. But whatever, you know, it's the S curve. Yeah, when you make more of those, it's gonna be cheaper. Yeah, but from what I heard, it is ultra expensive, that road. And then who's gonna pay for it? The people who charge on it, of course. Well, unless in the beginning it will be subsidized, so that it will be. They need to initially they need to match the price of regular charging, right? You know, like high power charging. So maybe around 50 euro cents per kilowatt hour, but heavily subsidized. Well, where does the subsidy come from? Well, taxpayers' money. No, but yeah, but I think at least, okay, I don't have any first-hand experience with those roads, so you know, that's a little disclaimer from me. But I know a lot about electric cars and in general about physics and stuff like that. So even though I haven't tried it yet, eventually I should get invited to somewhere, maybe Sweden or I don't know, Germany, but Sweden is closer to me, and we can try to experience how is it to use those electric charging roads, right? For you guys who don't know what it is actually a stretch on a typical, like a part of the motorway or somewhere, and then there is supposedly some stuff under the road. It depends what kind of technology. I'm not 100% sure how all that stuff works, but there's also some stuff over the road. You have to have plenty of pylons and poles and some wires and shit. It's like a tram almost, right? Yeah, something like that. So it's like an energized road. So for let's say cities where the distances are not that far and you have trams, okay, that's a different story because you're gonna use it for a long time and you have trams using it, right? So it works. So if it works for trams and trains, why shouldn't it work for for cars? Yeah, right. They obviously need to be electric cars. Well, actually, they could technically be hydrogen cars, right? But fossil cars wouldn't make any sense because fossil cars don't have the electric drivetrain for it. So it needs to be something like either a hybrid or pure electric, battery electric. I think that makes the most sense, or hydrogen. But it needs to be something that has to have some extra equipment. And since this is not standard equipment, it's not just like CCS2 where it's standard, then you need to add extra cost. So not only is it super ultra expensive for the actual road, but you have to retrofit the trucks. Like, I'm guessing it would make most sense with battery electric trucks or cars. Yeah, I forgot cars also, cars. But yeah, why do I mention trucks? Well, I'll come back to that, but also I don't know how expensive that equipment for the upgrade equipment or the retrofit equipment is, but I can also assume it's going to be quite expensive. And then, does it make any sense? Because by the end of the day, you are more or less limited to the battery's charging capabilities, except for a few things. Because that interface is not a regular charge plug interface thingy, right? But I mean, there's still cables going somewhere, and there's still energy flowing into the car. But at least the way I think it can work is that the whole idea is that you are charging the car while you are on that stretch. It's like they got the idea from Super Mario Kart or some shit like that, right? So yeah, the idea is that you don't have to stop. You can just charge while you're driving. But there is a butt crack. How fast can you actually drive on that road? Because the faster you drive, the shorter time you have on that energized road. Because those roads, those stretches, they might not be that long, right? I mean, the longer they make them, the more expensive they'll be. And then the faster you drive, the faster you pass through that stretch. Wait, so that's kind of like vinninga går på spinninga. The whole point is that you want to keep driving. You don't want to stop. Yeah, okay. But if you hammer it, like if you're going at 120 kilometers per hour, then you pass through that stretch quite quickly, and you don't give the car enough time to charge much, right? But if you drive slow, then you might as well stop. I mean, if you have to drive slower than normal, like here is 110 zone. People here, they cruise at 110, 120 kilometers per hour. If you have to reduce your speed to 90 to get longer charging time in that stretch, or if there is even limitation of the system that if you go too fast, it doesn't work. I don't know too much about it. Maybe I need to learn more about it. But then it's kind of like parts of the point with the charging road is kind of gone if you have to lower your speed. Then you might as well stop and charge and then keep moving. And since we are talking about stopping to charge, by the way, the problem is that nowadays battery electric cars, they are so good. Like even this fat EQE I'm driving now, you can usually drive around 300 kilometers before you need to charge. It depends where you drive. It could even be 400. So after 3-4 hours, you need a charging stop. And I've seen it that if you have an extended charging stop, it takes an hour, but even a half an hour charging stop is good enough to fill it up to 75%. And then you're good to go another stretch. And then, my point is that on a long trip, you want to stop anyway for food or restroom break or whatever, stretch your legs. On local runs, you should have some kind of home charging, or at least if you don't have home charging, then shopping mall charging or whatever, right? So today's electric cars, they are already good enough. They charge enough. They have good enough range. You just ask anyone who owns a Tesla, a fat e-tron, an EQS, or I mean, it doesn't even have to be those cars, but like a Polestar 2, or many modern cars, they have over 100 kilowatt, like 100, 150, 200 kilowatt charging, and they are already fast enough. And I think if you ask the majority of EV drivers today, they are happy with the charging speed, except for, there are some old cars out there. Yeah, true, we have some Leafs and whatever, but I mean, those are old, and it would not be economically feasible to retrofit those cars to be able to charge on the electric road anyway. So my claim is that it does not make any sense for passenger cars to have electric road, but trucks must make perfect sense, because every time we talk about hydrogen cars, people also bring up that hydrogen cars doesn't make any sense for personal transportation, but for trucks it is better. Yeah, but who claims this? Private people, not companies. They don't give a shit about hydrogen. They ditch hydrogen. They go for electric because it's, battery electric, because it's better. it's way cheaper to have charging infrastructure rather than refueling infrastructure at the depot. And yeah, it's also way cheaper to run because the hydrogen is freaking expensive if you don't get subsidized. Yeah. So why do I mention hydrogen? Because kind of like the same arguments for hydrogen is for also charging road, is that you don't need to stop for charging, right? You can just keep driving. Yeah, it's wonderful. Well, so okay, trucks then. Trucks should benefit from charging roads. Yeah, they drive slower, so maybe they don't care too much about the speed limit, if there's any speed limits for the system. And trucks also need lots of energy, so they would be a big customer, right? So yeah, that could make sense. But I mean, even today, you know, the Scania trucks and the Volvo trucks, you can get them with 1,000 kilowatt hour, at least 600-700 kilowatt hour, and they actually have 700 to 1,000 kilometers of range, fully loaded. You know, they already have insanely good range, and even during winter, the trucks, they are not that much affected by winter, unlike passenger cars. So which means that, I mean, if a truck can already drive that far, if you want a truck for long haul, then they already have pretty good range. And the limitation here is that the driver needs to take a rest. Well, unless you have two drivers, but I'm not sure if anyone does that. All the trucks I see by the road, they are resting because there's only one driver. It will probably be not economically good to have two drivers in one truck. So they just ship one truck and one driver, and the truck driver eventually needs to take a rest, mandatory rest. After 4.5 hour driving, you need 45 minutes of rest. And the beauty is that if you refuel, that 5 minutes it takes, that is not resting time, that is working time. But when you plug in, professional drivers, they have of course set up everything, RFID, whatever app, so they only need 1 minute to plug it in. And then that time when it's charging for 45 minutes, that is the resting time. So you can actually utilize the resting time for charging, minimizing the downtime, you can say, on long trips. So my claim is that, wait, is that electric? Yeah, that was I think that was electric truck we just passed. So that means that for long haul, battery electric trucks are already good enough. And for short trips, like in the city, then we already have good enough range. Like we have seen now, Rema 1000, you know, they used it for distribution around town. No problem, really. And people say, oh, but it's only 200 kilometers range, 300 kilometers range. Remember that is last mile delivery. It's local delivery. Like there are plenty of trucks that will do local deliveries, and they can charge at the depot, and they have enough. They never ever have to visit a charging station on the way. They have a very predictable route. They go somewhere, they go back, they have some margin and shit. And then for long haul, okay, long haul would make sense to have electric charging road. Like here, you know, for example, the truck would be nice to have some charging here, right? Well, except for that, like I said, if the limitation is that you need to rest anyway, so even if you charge while you're driving, you could go further, but the trucker is, you know, remember, they are limited to 80 kilometers per hour max, and then, well, at least many truckers, they cruise at 85 to 88, okay, fine, but eventually, you know, the limitation here is within the truck's limitation and the truck driver's limitation. So it might not make any sense, but okay, let's say if there is no charging network for trucks, yeah, then it would make sense to have a charging road, right? Yeah, well, except for one thing, there is literally, it doesn't exist. The charging road network does not exist, but the truck charging network does exist. Like even just this stretch I'm driving now, the 1,000 kilometer stretch, we already have a truck charging site at Snappbarp, which is further down the road, south of Göteborg. And then Varberg has another truck charging site. And then north of, in Göteborg, Gothenburg, there is also a truck charging site, a Circle K. And then north of Göteborg, around at Håby, there's another truck charger. And also, you know, many truckers, they tend to drive at night. And at least Circle K, they have installed more and more 300 kilowatt chargers. So even though they are not pure truck charging sites, trucks can charge there. I've seen trucks charge at Ioniq, which is, I mean, they mainly designed it for passenger cars, but trucks can also charge there. They don't, you know, ban the trucks or anything. So, which means that even if there is no truck charging network yet, truckers who enjoy driving at night because there's less traffic, less stau, less annoying stuff going on, they could even use the passenger car charging network for now. And then once it gets too crowded, they can always, I mean, by the time it gets too crowded, they might have their own good enough truck charging network, right? But there is one thing though that could make sense for the charging road, which is that when you go uphill, remember this, that when you are charging, when you're standing still charging, how much can you receive depends on the cars, I mean the battery mainly. So the Scania trucks with the biggest battery, they can take 375 kilowatt flat until 100%. The batteries are freaking awesome. They come from the Norvolt factory in Sweden. They've been designed for heavy duty shit, and they also have some top buffer, the trucks, so they can, you know, they can charge incredibly fast. So for charging, yes, you can take that kind of power, but actually, if you're on the road, it depends how fast you drive and so on. But on the flat, if you cruise at if you cruise at 88 kilometers per hour, and you have a consumption of roughly 1,000 watt-hour per kilometer, you need almost 90 kilowatt. So you can actually pull 90 kilowatt plus the 375 kilowatt. And since this is not via CCS2 plug, but via some other interface, it could even take 1,000 amp, right? And it would actually make sense to have the charging road in an uphill because, well, it depends on the uphill, the slope. Some places, maybe you don't want to have too steep hills. So I don't know how much, but some people mentioned in the live stream that some of the trucks with 500 horsepower, or was it 500 kilowatt? No, probably 500 horsepower. They might use almost all the power when going uphill. So I haven't done all the math, but let's say if a truck actually needs, I don't know, 300 kilowatt for propulsion going uphill, maybe cruising at 80 kilometers per hour, or maybe more, 85. The reason that some of the trucks are going slower, like fossil trucks, diesel trucks, is because they might not want to output 500 horsepower. Maybe they're only pulling 200, 300 horsepower. That's why the speed drops. But electric truck, as long as it is capable of going fast, it can actually maintain, you know, 85, 90, 85 kilometers per hour, right? But you know, that sounds pretty cool, because the charging road can then give, let's say, 300 kilowatt to the propulsion plus another 375 kilowatt to charge the battery. So the truck will receive almost 700 kilowatt, you know, if that is possible. I don't know. It might need 1,000 amp and the system might be 700, 800 volt base or 900 volt base. But that would make sense. But it would make sense in uphills, like some kind of mountain climb or something, up Grapevine, you know the Highway 5 between LA and SF, for example. Yeah, that could make sense, right? But then how expensive is it? And then that climb, well, okay, so if you receive 700 kilowatt for a while, is it worth it? Because initially, yeah, the price would be subsidized, but eventually there has to be the real price. Just like we've seen with hydrogen. Initially, the hydrogen seems to be quite cheap because it actually matches the price per kilometer as fossil car, but eventually they took away the subsidies. And then, like I experienced firsthand when I tested the Toyota Mirai on 1,000 kilometer challenge, it was extremely expensive. The price for hydrogen alone, and then we're not even counting the replacement of the fuel sorry, the fuel cell and the replacement, or the insanely high service interval for like 10,000, 8,000 to 10,000 kilometers service interval, and you have to replace the air filter, and like so. But okay, my point was that the price on hydrogen went through the roof and it became really expensive. Other countries, they might still have low-ish price because it's still subsidized, but yeah. So the point is that that electric road, the price per kilowatt hour is going to be freaking high. My claim, based on what I heard now about the cost of it. And even when they scale it up and make it more common, yeah, the price will go down, of course, per kilowatt hour, but it's still going to be like freaking high compared to, it's like you can say that, yeah, but high power charging will always be more expensive than home charging, right? Because the technology, right? You just need high power, you need transformer, you need whatever, cooling and shit like that. But home charging is way slower, lower power, and it will always be cheaper. And that's my claim, is that even high power charging will be cheaper than the electric road. So yeah, but there's another thing also, by the way, that goes against the electric road, which is that gas stations, they want truck drivers to stop at them. It's like the bee and the flower, right? They want to attract the bees, which is the trucker, yeah. But because you see that Circle K, they have they have truck resting place. And why do they even invest in truck charging? Because they want truckers to come there and charge and spend money on buns and burgers and shit. And yeah, and also many gas stations, they also have shower, which is mainly for, they want to attract customers. So getting truck charging at the gas station is one more way of keeping the customer there. You want to keep your customer at your business. Just like, wait, is that deer on the other side of the road? Oh, the fence, what the heck, man? How did you get, do you guys see that shit? How did the deer get over there? Did we have fences here? Oh, it's by the intersection. Yeah, I forgot by the intersection. That's dangerous. I mean, they can get in there, of course. Sorry. So I've been talking non-stop for 8 hours. That's why my voice is a bit broken. but yeah. So what I'm saying is that there are force. There is the push and pull force. Charging is cheaper. The CCS plug is very common, standardized. Charging hardware is getting cheaper and cheaper. Like the charging hardware, the cable charging hardware, is far ahead. Other technologies, they really need to be a lot better to be able to match charging technology as it is today. If the charging road or the wireless charging or the battery swap or hydrogen came 10, 20 years ago, that would be a completely different story. But it is too late now. We have so many high power chargers, the prices are getting lowered, it's more and more common. So it is really hard to introduce charging roads. I don't even know if Europe even wastes money on it. But to me, without even without even tested it, I can already assume that it's not going to work, or it's not going to, based on the cost I've heard, so yeah, but maybe I'm wrong. So I need to be invited by some Swedes. Yeah, I'm going to get the message or somewhere on Facebook and like, for fan, Bjørn, I like your videos, but you have to get over to Stockholm or somewhere, right? Or somewhere, I don't know where they have it. And they're gonna demonstrate how awesome the charging road is. but I mean, there are so many pitfalls. Or how does it work even? Do you have to have a pantograph? I mean, there must be some physical connection between the car and the charging road, right? Unless you have some induction shit going on the ground, but that's gonna be freaking expensive, man. You have to have induction plates for kilometers. How expensive is that shit? And then how do you sync it? Because I've seen the wireless charging, and you guys remember momentum dynamics. You have to be within like centimeter precision to be able to charge from that plate, and then you will have to then alternate between hundreds of plates within minutes, right? Is that even... Okay, maybe I'm wrong, maybe the technology is there. Yeah, okay, I'm a noob, I don't know how that shit works. Okay, well, fine. Well, hopefully the efficiency is high and the reliability is high and it works summer, winter, right? And without too expensive retrofits. But I still wonder how the heck it's gonna work, because I've been there at, I went past that stretch in Sweden, north of Stockholm, and also have seen that stretch south of Frankfurt. There are some wires hanging over the road, which should indicate that you need to have a pantograph, and you're not gonna equip a passenger car with a pantograph. So that means that passenger car, 9. Trucks, probably 9 also, because too expensive. Yeah, but you say, but time is money. Yeah, who cares about cost? Time is money. Well, do you see all the trucks to the right now? What the heck are they doing? Chop, 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 get going, time is money. No, they have to rest. They have a mandatory rest. They are sleeping, they are resting, they are waiting before they can go. Also on the other side, you see all those trucks on the other side. What the heck are they doing? Time is money. You see, they're already resting there. So if the infrastructure is good enough, by the way, this stretch here, this is near Kungsbacka. This would be perfect location for Shell to establish truck chargers. And then in the future, once the truck chargers are there, then, well, in the beginning they could share so that passenger cars can charge there, but eventually they need to ban all the passenger cars and only allow trucks to charge there. I don't know, there could be signs there saying that, you know, passenger cars not allowed here, 9, you know, only LKW. And then also maybe it has to be in a closed network where the passenger cars, they cannot simply charge there with any RFID. You have to be in a, you have to maybe be a registered truck driver or some shit like that, right? To be able to charge there. That's the only way to do it in the future. But it's just like, there is a quite low threshold for gas station owners to start installing truck chargers and attract customers there. But the threshold for going charging road sounds like it is really high. Unless you get government subsidies, which basically means money from taxpayers' money. I mean, the money from taxpayers. Are you willing to pay tax? Are you willing to spend the taxpayers' money on? I mean, are you okay that the government spends this money on hydrogen and charging road rather than spending it on school and better roads or other things that matters more in your society, right? Or in your country? Yeah. So but anyway, I think that's it. I don't have more to say about the charging road. It's just that I feel like wait, what the heck? What? People are hammering it. What the heck is going on here? I'm going at the speed limit. These guys are hammering it. Okay, whatever. Sure. So anyway, guys, I think that's gonna be it for now. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, thank you for watching and talk to you later.